welcome to the I Am a Woman podcast where we discuss all things women. I am your host, Teray Peoples. As a wife, mother, daughter, sister, friend, and so much more, I know firsthand the desire that exists to have a place where I can be refueled and refreshed. And that's the purpose of this podcast. I want you to leave this podcast having been encouraged and energized. Together, we will discuss all things women, from love, life, family, and most importantly, God. We will allow ourselves to be real and discuss topics that have not been spoken on too often in order to allow us to be free. So join me on this empowering journey and let's discover the women that God created us to be. So hey fam, welcome to the I Am a Woman podcast. I'm so excited that you have joined us today. Today our guest is Miss Perris Scott. Perris, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am so well. I'm so excited that you accepted the invitation to come and be a part of the show. Now listen, I said this with my previous guest. I am low-key a creeper because I stalk on Facebook and I'm just looking behind the scenes. I might not say a whole lot, but let me just tell you, your journey has been one that has inspired me. And I was just like, okay, Teray, you got to get it together because I've seen how you have just completely transformed before our eyes. So before we get into that and before we get to talk about your realm of expertise, I want you just to share a little bit about who you are. So we want to get to know you. So tell us a little bit about Perris.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I definitely have been through a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you already said my name, but I am Perris.
Yeah.
Last name is Scott. I grew up here in Omaha, Nebraska, and went to North High. I'm a Viking.
Oh.
After I graduated high school, I went straight into the military, and I'm in the Air National Guard now, but did that for a little while and been kind of like medical admin as far as my normal job titles go.
Yeah.
Married to a police officer here in Omaha.
Okay.
And I have 3 girls, 13, 11, and 2. My
Now,
little one.
So y'all completely started the clock all over again. Y'all did what me and my husband did.
Be busy.
Yeah. That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your military journey. So you said you entered into the military immediately after high school. So how long were you in the military? Talk a little bit about your military career.
Okay. So let's see. I left in November, the year that I graduated high school.
Okay.
I really had hopes and dreams of becoming a physical therapist at one point, a pharmacist at one point. I had all these dreams. However, the work didn't match up with what I wanted on my behalf. I didn't apply for scholarships. I was lazy, honestly. And but I knew I wanted to do something. I had to get out of Omaha.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something with my life. So it really was the best decision for me. I went to basic training in Texas. And after that, I had training for my job, also in Texas at another base. And then they sent me all the way to England. And so I remember my mom, I really wanted to buy a car when I was in training. And my mom was like, don't buy a car because you never know where they're going to send you. And I'm like, well, Mom, I filled out my base of preference, which is what we call it, where you tell them what bases you would like to be stationed at.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to send you everything. But again, it's called preference. So I did not have anything overseas on my list, and guess exactly where they sent me, all the way to the United Kingdom. And this is sad to say, but at the time, I didn't know what the UK was. When I got that assignment sheet, I asked my training instructor, I said, where is the United Kingdom? She said, oh, that's England. I said, can I drive there? So,
Listen, that's honest.
anyway, my mom was right, of
That's
course.
honest. Yeah.
I'm glad I waited to buy that car.
Yeah.
So, anyway, they sent me there. I was there for a couple of years. And then came back to the States, went to, I was stationed at a base in Illinois. It's like right on the border of St. Louis. So in that area.
Okay.
And then overseas to Misawa, Japan. That was my last active duty base.
Wow.
And so I deployed while I was active duty. I went to Afghanistan, spent some time there. And that is really where my my personal discovery with regard to my faith happened. That's where it happened.
Okay.
After that, got out, and then I decided to go back in, and so now I'm in the Air National Guard.
Awesome. So you said that you began to develop your own personal relationship with the Lord while you were there in Afghanistan. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think my dad is a preacher, right? So I've been, I would say, around the church.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't grow up in church. My stepdad technically.
Okay.
So he came around when I was about 12, and so they didn't really force me, to go to church when my mom got married. But I would say I grew up around the church.
Okay.
So I knew who God was, like most people. I knew
Mm-hmm.
who he was in a general sense.
Right.
But being there, seeing young soldiers mostly, um, come back from the field badly injured, some near death. It got to me. I remember I remember we had what we call a mass casualty, where basically it's more than, a couple of people who get hurt at a time, basically. And there were about 13 soldiers that came in. We had a couple of um, Australian soldiers, and then the rest were, American soldiers. And they were hurt, and some were like 20 years old. And just looking at these guys, thinking, they may never walk again, or they may never be able to have kids. I mean, I had one guy who was badly injured to his genital area, and so yeah, it kind of got to me a little bit. I feel like I was still pretty strong, but I started going to the chapel when I was there, and listening to the music, and it was the strangest feeling. I don't know if everybody feels this way when they first start figuring out that there is a God. It was the strangest thing, because I felt kind of like, how can I really worship somebody that I can't see? But he was drawing me, and I'm trying not to mess up my makeup to where you're gonna make me emotional. But anyway, I'll just say that yeah, just thinking about it kind of makes me emotional. But that was like the first time I can remember trying to figure out who God was for myself, not because my dad told me
Come on.
I should,
Yeah.
right? Or because some other person told me that I should.
Yeah.
And it was like a natural thing. It was like nobody said, well, you should go to the chapel.
Yeah.
It was like I needed help, and that was the first place I went.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The Bible says that no one comes to him unless the Holy Spirit draws them. And I can totally and completely, I understand that feeling of, you know, wanting to know and have a clear understanding for yourself what that relationship with the Lord is supposed to look like, and not because mama and daddy told you to. My story goes, I was raised in the church. Like, when I say raised in the church, it was from the moment I came out. It was like that Friday night, I was probably in somebody's church service somewhere. But that's all I knew. But I knew it based on what I was being told about him. I knew it based on, which is the way that the Bible says you train up a child in the way that he should go. So that's exactly what they were supposed to do. However, we all have to come to that own revelation and understanding of who he is for ourselves. So while you're there in Afghanistan and he's beginning to draw you and he's beginning to pull you, what was the final, like, okay, God, it's me and you. I'm all in. There's no more question. What was that for you? What did that look like?
Um, it was kind of a process, right? I guess that's probably normal, but that's where it started. And then when I came back from my deployment was when I really started to like kind of piece things together. And so I was stationed in Illinois at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember thinking about these guys and just being like kind of in awe, just thinking about what their lives might be like, but just thankful that they all survived. I don't know how they're all handling life, obviously, to this day. I don't know what's going on, but I would think about them and think, wow, they could have just all been in body bags, but but that wasn't the case. So their lives may be different, than when they left, but wow, and so I would think about that. And then I started looking for a church home, which I didn't really know how to do that. I just was like, okay, I'll try a few places, and see how it goes. I don't know. You just don't know, right? You don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And so I found a church that I liked. It seemed nice. The pastor seemed nice. It was one of those larger churches.
Mm-hmm.
And so really that's where I got started, but it still took kind of a few years for me to really make like that connection. Like, okay, my life needs to be different. I'm making changes. I'm not interested in some of those things anymore. It took a few years still, but sometimes when I would like go out and hang out with my friends, I would feel kind of uneasy about it, that kind of started happening. I wasn't actually a big drinker ever. I would, drink, but it wasn't like a big thing for me. I was a dancer though. Like turn the music on, I'm hitting the floor. I don't even need a drink.
Right.
That was my thing. Okay. So yeah, again, it took a few years though for me to get to that point, and it actually didn't happen until my next assignment, which was in Japan. And a friend of mine, she she switched. In my mind, when you think about things,
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, it happened overnight. It was like we were partying one day, and the next day she was never around.
Wow.
And I was like, where is she? Like, it's like she's just not hanging out anymore, And so I just talked to her and she was like, I got to change my life. And, she was talking about church. And
Mm-hmm.
so she invited me to this church, tiny little church in Japan.
Okay.
The pastor is a reservist.
Okay.
And the wife, the first lady, is a teacher. It's a Kojic church.
Okay.
And I was like, I still didn't know what that meant at the time, by the way, or,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew that my dad's church, was a Kojic church. And so
Mm-hmm.
he was like, oh, really? So anyway, we went and visited for Easter.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, maybe I'll come back. And that was it.
Wow.
That was it from there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was a tiny, like maybe 10 people in that church, tiny church.
Mm-hmm.
The pastor played the keys.
Okay.
And First Lady led the praise and worship team. She
Mm-hmm.
sang. I mean, it was tiny, tiny. Take your shoes off at the door because we're in Japan and it's off base. But man, when I tell you, that's where it started. That's where it like really started and like took a hold of me. I was like, okay,
yeah,
this is my life now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Listen, I I grew up Kojic as well. And let me just tell you, I'm so grateful for the foundation that I learned while I was there because it's there that I learned how to pray. It's there that I learned, develop my love for worship. It's there that it's just where my foundation is built upon. And it's something that I honor and I value so much to this day. And a lot of those teachings, and I remember seeing the mother's board on Friday night prayer service, and they're at the altar and they're just tearing before the Lord. And I miss those days. I really do miss those days. But it's because of those prayers that my generation came through, you know, and I value that so much. So I can really relate to understanding that feeling of when you walk through those doors and what effect that had on you because it's a praying church.
Yeah.
It's a praying church. It's a praying church. So that's awesome. So at this time, while you're in Japan, are you married now? Are you married?
I was married.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. I was married. I actually got married at my first base in England. I was
Okay.
young. I was 20,
Okay.
maybe 20. I was just talking to my little sister about this. I think I was 20,
Okay.
but we were young.
Uh-huh.
And we were together about 5 years before my daughter came along.
Okay.
And we had ups and downs, like every marriage does.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up getting divorced well, I don't know, after my last assignment.
Okay.
So we got divorced and I moved back here to Omaha. And
Okay.
so at the time, I was completely out of the military,
Mm-hmm.
but I had like a connection to the reserves. So, like, I can't even remember exactly what it's called, inactive reserve.
Okay.
So it was kind of like my way to still tap back in if I felt like I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what I did. So yeah, I went through the divorce, and then I met my current husband, and we got married in, what is this, 220? So 2015. So it'll
Okay.
be 5 years for us in November.
Okay.
So the divorce was difficult. I mean, all of them are,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It really came at a time when I was really drawing near to the Lord. I
Yeah.
mean, heavy. And I really felt guilty about the divorce,
Mm-hmm.
because, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, divorce is not something that anybody ever really wants, right? But as a Christian, it's frowned upon. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's just not something that we like to talk about. And it's something that, is kind of cliche. I don't really know. But it was tough, you
Mm-hmm.
know, going through. I had no job. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life because I had given up my career.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, like I said, moved back home from Japan, and it was tough,
Yeah.
but that was when I really, really, really started praying. I went through miscarriage, and my church family was there for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So can you talk a little bit more about just your emotional state? Because what I really want, one of the things that I want us to do through this podcast is to really um, allow us an opportunity just to check in with ourselves and to really be honest about how we're feeling.
yeah.
Because we can go through traumatic experiences like that without really checking in with ourselves, and we're not honest with ourselves. So can you talk about that? Like, talk about how you were feeling, talk about, your mental state. What place were you in at that time?
Ooh, girl,
Mm-hmm.
I was in a terrible place at that time. I mean, I feel like I poured everything I had, into my marriage. And I wanted with everything in me for it to work out,
Mm-hmm.
despite the things that had happened. I just really wanted it to work out. I did a lot of crying and a lot of praying,
Yeah.
and a lot of crying and a lot of praying. I was really down.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really, I struggled for a while,
Yeah.
and my dad, I remember being at home, living back at home with my parents when I was in transition. And I remember one time he was cutting the grass and he likes to listen to his music, in his headphones when he's cutting the grass. And all I know is he came in the house like the Lord pushed him back in the house. And I don't even remember everything he said, but he came to me emotional, like I am right now,
Yeah.
and basically told me that everything is going to work out. God said so. He told me to tell you it's going to be all right. Just stay with God and know that it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
Some things don't work out the way we want. I did everything that I could,
Mhm.
um, you know, but it was tough.
Yeah.
I didn't want my daughter to be, raised without her father. Thank God he and I did the work so that we could raise her still together.
It's awesome.
But, in that moment, I just saw, us living in two different places, living two different lives. Maybe she would see him in the summer or whatever,
Mhm.
and I just really didn't want that,
Mhm.
for her.
Mhm.
Um, but, he blessed through all of it, but
Yeah.
it took a while. I mean, I was in school, I didn't have a job, and the military was paying me to go to school. So with your VA bill, with your GI Bill, they pay you. I was getting like $600 a month to go to school. So
Yeah.
as stressed as I was,
Mhm.
depressed, going through,
Mhm.
it was like if I stopped going to school right now, I'm not going to have anything.
Right.
It
Right.
was the most bizarre place to be in. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
when you're going through something like that, you would think, maybe it'd be good to take a mental break. But I was like, if I take this break from school, I'm not gonna get that money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I stayed, I did what I had to do,
Mhm.
and then my parents, my childhood home, when they moved to their new house, they kept that house as a rental spot. So that house, the person that was there, she moves, that house opened up. So me and my baby moved in that house back into our childhood home. And my mom, of course, they didn't charge me outlandish rent. My dad came over, he did the yard work. I mean, God just, he
Yeah.
made it happen for us,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
awesome.
and he's still doing today, but it was tough. It
That's
was
awesome.
hard.
And that is such a thank you for sharing that first and foremost, because it's important that we get the whole story, because we see the finished product. Everybody sees what it looks like on the outside, but we don't know the work that it took to get you to where you are right now. And this is important because I believe someone is watching that is in a similar situation, that may be in that place of transition right now in their lives. And they're having to accept a new reality that they never wanted, and how hard that can be. But just to see you on the other side of that is giving somebody else hope that it's okay, baby girl. It don't feel good right now, but trust me, it gets better. It gets better. So that's awesome. Thank you. We're going to take a pause for the calls real quick and hear a little word from our sponsor. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back with Miss Perris Scott. So she just finished telling us a little bit about her transition and how God continued to provide for her and her daughter after returning back home. So now you're in school. What are you studying? What are you studying while you're in school?
So I was studying sports and recreation management for
Okay.
my bachelor's degree,
Okay.
and I was taking online classes.
Okay.
And I finished that in, I don't know, 2013 maybe.
Okay.
And like I said, that was rough. The
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
timing was rough, but it means it means so much to me. It's a reminder of what I was able to get through,
Mhm.
in spite of everything that seemed to be going wrong around me.
Mhm.
I mean, I had to sell knives. When I think about it, let me tell you, I'm just like, I had too much pride,
Yeah. Yeah.
honestly, to just stay with my parents
Mhm.
and just, I won't say milk the situation because I don't want, obviously, everybody is at different, stages, but I think I was 29 or 30,
Okay.
28, 29. I was a little bit older
Mhm.
when this happened. I had her and I had a full on career and then nothing,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to figure this out.
Mhm.
I'm not staying at home with parents material. I love my parents,
Mhm.
but I'm an adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need my own space. And so, like I said, he opened those doors for me to be able to make those things happen. But in the meantime, when I moved into my parents' house, the rental property, I was selling knives. So
Mhm.
I was selling Cutco knives. And that wasn't my favorite job. I actually still have my Cutco knives, by the way. But you know what? I did what I had to do. I had to get on unemployment. Talk about humbling experience.
Yeah.
God was like,
Mhm.
okay, we're going to go through the gamut.
Yeah.
So going and applying for unemployment was tough for me
Mhm.
because I felt like I should be able to get a job, right? I have all this military experience. It was not happening for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I had to really learn to lean on the Lord.
Mhm.
You know, I had to.
Yeah. It's, you know what? I think it's amazing that it's all about the process. It's all about the process. And we try to avoid it so much, right? But he's just like, you're going to learn this lesson, whether you learn it today or whether you learn it tomorrow.
Yep.
It's up to you. You have to go through the process. And the process isn't fun. And I don't think it's necessarily meant to be fun, but it is meant to teach you something. And it's meant to, like you said, deal with that pride. That pride is a beast. Okay. And he starts dealing with that. He starts dealing with, the lack of compassion that you might have. He starts dealing with the things that you thought you knew, but you had no idea about. You didn't know what you were doing, you know.
Right.
And he does that with us all, but he does it so lovingly, all while providing for us at the same time, right? So he's taking us through this horrible, horrible ordeal, but he's carrying us the whole way. So this is awesome. So now you find yourself, you graduated from school. And when did you meet your husband? Did you meet him after you graduated, or was he there through the process?
Well, you know what? We actually met, I want to say like a month before I was graduating.
Okay.
So we met right around the time I was finishing up.
Hmm.
And we actually met online
Okay.
because my coworkers were like, you know what, you should go on a date. Blah blah. They're like, you should this and you should that. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, all right, whatever. I'm not meeting anybody. I don't go out
Right.
anymore. There's nobody at my church.
Right.
So why not, right?
Right.
So I said, okay, listen, I'll do the trial period,
Hmm.
1 week free. I think it was something like that. And then if I don't meet anybody, like I'm done. I
Hmm.
didn't want to give it that much thought.
Right.
And I met him. And so the military has made me really suspicious of people, honestly. And
Hmm.
so when I met him, I was checking everything out.
Right.
And
Right.
he told me that he went to King Solomon. And I was like, my grandparents go there. So I'm thinking, well, if you go there, then I can prove that.
Right. Right.
So I had to ask my grandpa about him. He was like, oh, yeah, I know who he is. I was like,
Okay.
oh,
Okay. Granddaddy approves. Granddaddy approves.
he's a nice young man. I was like, okay. So, then I kind of loosened up a little bit and got to know him and then found out our daughters have the same birthday, which was bizarre.
Wow.
Yes. Yep. 2 years apart though, but they
Okay.
have the same birthday.
Okay.
So I don't know, we were at dinner. I can't remember. He remembers all that stuff. My memory's not the greatest. And we were talking about the kids and he's like, and we, found that out. And we both looked at each other like,
Mhm.
no way. But anyway, thank God, they love each other and they get along really well.
Yeah.
They're totally different kids,
Yeah.
but they mesh together so well. It's a blessing.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome. So you guys get married, and what got you interested into? Now, see, this is where um, your new why. Okay, so currently, right now, you have started your own fitness company, right?
yeah,
And you have fitness workouts on Monday nights that you were doing in the summertime, right? And you're getting all of these people out and getting them healthy and getting them fit. What was that journey like for you? Where did you discover this love for fitness and wellness?
well, that really started a long time ago. I just didn't really realize it.
Okay.
So growing up, I was an athlete. I ran track, played basketball. I even found somebody sent me a picture the other day. They were cleaning out books or something at their parents' house, and they found a picture of me, like in a cheerleading outfit. I forgot I used to cheerlead for the
Oh,
Bears. You remember when the Bears was hot and
yes,
popping?
yes.
So I did that. I mean, my mom had me in all kinds of stuff. So, but track was like the sport that was closest to my heart. So I ran, I would say like 10 years.
Okay.
And then I got a little too grown in high school, I guess, and I
Mhm.
gave it up. My junior year was my last year. I wish I would have done that, but you
Yeah.
live and you learn, right? We all
Right.
have those.
Right.
So for me, fitness was just a part of my life. I didn't realize that it wasn't for everybody else. I don't think, you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
My best friend when I was growing up, we were bored. We used to hop on the bike and we would ride bikes like for hours,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for me, that was fun, you
Mhm.
know. So then I joined the military, and in the military, you have to be somewhat fit, right? So I was always, I call it decently fit. That's what I call it.
Okay.
So I was always that way until
Mm-hmm.
kids.
Uh-huh.
So the first one, so Kaori, when I was in Japan, I had to take my first physical training test after she was born. At
Okay.
that time, you have 6 months um, after you have your baby to pass your test. It's a mile and a half run, a certain amount of push ups, sit ups, and then your waist has to be a certain measurement.
Oh,
And that was tough, getting back in shape in 6 months.
wow.
I had to. It was really, really tough. And so I had great people around me who helped me to meet that goal. Because in the military, if you fail, it's not a good.
Yeah.
Simple. So I passed that test. That's when it first really, really started.
Okay.
When I was like, man, I think I want to push myself to do a little bit better than just passing. And
Okay.
so at that point, I signed up for Beachbody. So everybody knows about Beachbody, right? It's a
Yeah. Yeah.
huge popular company.
Yeah.
So they have home workouts. Um, so I started doing Turbo Fire and Insanity and P90X. So I
Yeah.
started out doing those, and then I started hosting classes. And so basically, I purchased a projector
Mm-hmm.
and I would rent out like space, and people would come and we would all do the workout together, the workout videos together.
Wow.
So I started there,
Okay.
did that for a few years, and then fell back, and then fell it. It was always like a back and forth thing,
Yeah.
always a back and forth thing. And so then a few years ago, before Lauren, I
Okay.
started working for Prove It, which is a company that is is an independent contractor type position also, and they are a supplement company and they sell exogenous ketones. And
Okay.
so that started to interest me. One of the ladies I worked with for Beachbody, who was super successful, she switched. So that's what caught my attention. I was like, why
Mm-hmm.
did she switch? She was doing great. And
Mm-hmm.
so I watched her journey. And at that time, I had gained a little bit of weight,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed something else. And so then I got started with them. and then Lauren, and long and short of it is, it's really been a thing I've been doing for a long time, but kind of on and off.
Okay.
And I felt like a couple things when I would try and do it on somebody else's terms, meaning for Beachbody or for this other company, I would do well, but I wouldn't get to the point where it wasn't enough for me.
Right.
That was part of it. And the other part of it was I didn't feel right 100% of the time with the products, like pushing the products, because I felt like they were good products, but sometimes they were super expensive. And so I felt like the coaching part really was better for me. So, it took a while for me to accept what the Lord was trying to show me for a long time, basically.
Yeah.
So that didn't come together until the beginning of this year through
Yeah.
fasting.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, I'm going for it then,
I saw one of your workout videos that you had posted, and I think it was a phenomenal idea. You do like it's just a short workout routine, and you post it, and I was like, this right here, this is gold. This is awesome, and it's at a self pace. Like if you want, no one is forcing you to do it. You can do it, on demand when you're at home. You can watch it in your time. You don't have to be there at a certain time, which I thought was awesome. But then I also thought it was awesome that you wanted to have that one-on-one contact, because that's the type of person I am. I like to have that one-on-one accountability also. So tell me about your workout classes. What was the response that you got from your workout classes? Is it something that you're going to continue even in the winter months? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I had to stop, because it started getting cold and I didn't have a location. I got a pretty good response. I had about the same amount of people each day or each Monday, but that was fine because some of it is new for me. Like the coaching part, it's kind of like in me, to be encouraging and coaching. And, I was previously certified a few years back, but I didn't have the confidence to go through with it.
Yeah.
So again, like I said, it's been a long time coming, but so I decided to start the class just to really to gain the experience and give people, the opportunity to, work out together, because there's something about the community
Yeah.
that helps, with accountability.
Yeah.
So I started it and I loved it. I had to stop until I kind of figured things out, but I do have a location. I'll start next week, will be my first week in gym. So every Tuesday at 6:30, I will be in the Feel Good Factory.
Okay.
And that's in Carter Lake.
Okay.
And the owner is super sweet, and she's not into one-to-one personal training. Her entire gym is like a group fitness place.
Okay.
And so she knows that the majority of my business is for online clients, but I do one-to-one training in person on a small basis right now because I am still working full time. Because the Lord allows me to,
that's right.
until He opens those doors. But I love it. I enjoy that time with people. I enjoy seeing people sweat. I enjoy, seeing them like push themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They think that is me, but it's really not me. I have a very small part to play, and it's really them, and my goal is to get people to tap into that, that connection between them and obviously their connection with the Lord. And I'm really just, if it's a paintbrush, I'm just the brush. He's the artist. You know what I mean? That's it. And so I love that.
That's fantastic. Listen, okay, fam. So you heard it. Okay, she's gonna be. What's the name of the gym again?
The Feel Good Factory.
The Feel Good Factory, located in Carter Lake. She's gonna be there every Tuesday.
Yes.
Starting this Tuesday coming up.
Yes. Starting this Tuesday.
November 2nd or 3rd.
Yes. 3rd, yes.
November.
Voting day.
It's a voting day. Yes, that's the 3rd. So she's going to be there at the Fitness Factory in Carter Lake this Tuesday. At what time?
6:30 p.m.
6:30 p.m. So every Tuesday at 6:30?
Yes.
Okay. So, oh, look, check it out. So the day that this will go up, this should go up on a Tuesday. So that evening. So you should be able to catch her there tonight. So make sure that you do that. This is so exciting. I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. Like I said, I creep in the background. I may not say a whole lot, but um, I am on a fitness journey myself. And over the past couple of years, I found myself in a position that I've never been in before, where I have to really start paying attention. My body, I don't know. I turned 38. My body decided that it wanted to go stupid. So I just have to, I'm really having to be more conscious about how I'm doing things and what I'm putting in my body, what I'm taking, all of that good stuff, and about staying active. And so I need to connect with you. Like, all jokes aside, I do need to connect with you because I'm starting this fitness journey. But like I said, I like to have a level of accountability. It keeps me accountable and it makes me push a little bit harder. So I'm so excited. I didn't even know that you had a new facility out. So
Yes.
that is
It
awesome.
just came together and,
Yeah.
we just put out the flyer, but you know how the social media is, you miss a lot,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
I'll put out the information again. But yeah,
Yes,
I'm
and
super
I'll definitely
excited.
link it. I'll link it in the comments, and I'll
Okay,
link it in the
perfect.
show notes. So that's going to be awesome. So we're going to get the word out about this. So what is the name of your fitness organization? What is it?
Coach Perris Lene. And you can find me online at coachperrislene.com. That's my
Okay.
website.
Okay.
So
Do you have a Facebook page for that as well?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Yep.
So be sure to go visit her website, Coach Perris Lene, and also follow her on Facebook as well. And make sure you all you like and share, leave a comment, spread the word because it really does help with her business. We want to be a blessing because she is being a blessing to so many. So this has been such a great conversation, Paris. Thank you so much. But before we go, I want you to look in the camera and just minister to someone, okay? Give a message to someone. What would you tell a young woman who may be at a place where, at an earlier place in your life where the Lord delivered you from, who may be in transition from after a divorce, who may be in the process of finding love and a little hesitant about moving forward, or is on a weight loss journey? What would you say to that person?
Oh, okay. I would say,
Yeah.
man, I have so many things I could share.
Yeah.
I would say number one, value your values.
Yeah.
Um, I think, our parents instill so many things in us, or maybe you didn't have, those type of parents, whatever the situation may be, but you know what's important to you. Do not go back on what is important to you
Yeah.
to please somebody else. That's my first lesson.
Yeah.
That goes way back,
Yeah.
okay? That's in business, that's in relationships.
Yes.
You stay true to who you are and who you want to be.
Yes.
Um, I would say to anybody that's trying to figure out their health and wellness, how do I make time for that? I would say to you this: look around, see the people that are dying around us.
Mm.
We know it's going to come at some point in our life, right? That's the way life is set up. But live your best life while you're here. Not all people are supposed to look the same. My goal is not for everybody to be a size 2, 6, 8, 20, whatever. I don't care how, what your shape is. Are you healthy?
Yeah.
Can you physically move your body to do the things that you want to do? That is what's most important to me. My goal is not for you to fit within the BMI standards. They're inaccurate. According to those standards, I'm obese. I
Yeah.
don't feel obese. So I would say stay true to yourself and then make time to take care of your body so that you can do the things that you want to do and be here for the people that mean the most to you. And those are the two things that I want to leave you guys with today. And of course, as Teray said, I'm always here to help if you need help with either one of those things.
That's awesome. Paris, thank you so much for that. That was phenomenal. I know that this is speaking volumes to someone, and it is a tremendous blessing. And I've enjoyed getting to know a little bit more about you, your journey, your testimony, and thank you for sharing. But before we get out of here, I have a couple rapid fire questions for you. Okay?
Oh boy.
All
Okay.
right. All right, here we go. How long does it take you to get ready?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Oh, I wish that was my testimony, but sure it's not that.
I don't look like this every day.
Invisibility or super strength? Which would you prefer?
Super strength.
Yes. Let's see. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at keeping secrets?
10.
10? Okay.
Mhm.
If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
Maybe the 60s.
The 60s? Okay. Okay.
I don't know. We'll go with that.
Okay. And last one, cake or pie?
Cake.
What's your favorite cake?
Ooh, all of them. I
All
don't
of
know if I have a favorite anymore. Used to
know?
be German chocolate, but now I like cake.
You know what? Cake is pretty delicious. You know, mine is a toss up. It's between, oh Lord, it's between the lemon cake at Everything Bundt Cakes. That one, oh, that's so good.
I love that place.
Yes, I have to stay away from that place. Then my second one is carrot cake. I love carrot cake. I think it's the best.
That's my husband's favorite, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
Carrot cake is wonderful. It is wonderful.
Where do you get your carrot cake?
Okay. There's a pastor at my church. He makes the best carrot cake. So every once in a while, when he makes it, I can get a piece of that carrot cake. It's one of those favorites that I don't get often, but it is my absolute favorite. It's my absolute favorite. Well, Perris, thank you so much for joining me today. This was awesome, fam. Make sure you go and follow her on her website, follow her on Facebook. Let's give her some love. Fam, I hope that you were blessed, and I will see you in the next podcast. Bye.